Jun is a clueless bum who couldn't tell his childhood tomboy friend was in love with him because he only saw her as a homie.
Look, you are such a freaking ass!
However, everything changes when she turns into an absolute baddie, and he finally realizes she wants to clap to him every day. It all starts when she suddenly confesses to him one day that she loves him. But the bird brain thinks she is just goofing around and casually tells her he loves her too. Seeing this, she becomes frustrated that this dude only considers her a bro, not a... The next day on their way to school, Tomo acts strange because she can't maintain the platonic relationship they once had. Just then, Jun casually hits her backside since she is his homie anyway, but she instantly gets embarrassed and punches him. Later at school, she complains to her friend Misuzu, but that idiot won't stop thinking she's got a sausage too, and Misuzu tells her she is getting what she deserves, shocking her. Misuzu explains that Tomo only played boys' games when they were younger, and even beat up a couple of boys in the past. She further states that no guy would be attracted to her when she goes about talking like a dark overlord, and advises that she tries to fix that up. Following this, when Tomo meets Jun again, she tries changing her voice to sound like a girl. But Jun asks her why she is talking like a cheapy voice due for a software update. She gets pissed and gives him a befitting punch. On getting home, her father notices a bruise on her face and asks her what happened to her. She tells him she got into a fight with Jun, and her father starts to rebuke her for losing to Jun when she is supposed to be the next head of their dojo. However, she angrily reminds her father that she is a girl and he is at fault for training her like this. The next day on their way to school, Jun apologizes for whooping her behind the previous day but claims that she was the one who hit him first anyway. He further tells her she has been hitting him too much lately and starts to tickle her when she refuses to answer him. But this only leads to another remarkable punch to his disgusting face. During the lunch break, while Tomo eats with Misuzu, Misuzu asks her why she doesn't eat lunch with Jun since they practically do every other thing together, and she replies that she is embarrassed that it seemed like they are dating. Misuzu thinks she is stupid and stands up immediately, intending to go get Jun to eat with them. Getting to Jun, the two almost start World War III, but he agrees anyway, which Tomo finds awkward because they both hate each other like your crush hates you. Later that afternoon, a moron named Tanabe goes to tease Jun about his close relationship with Tomo, asking if they have done the intense sports activity together, and the bird-brained, thinking he's talking about karate, replies that they have been doing it since they were young. He adds that Tomo is good at using her feet too, making Misuzu, who is overhearing them, disappointed. She goes to tell Tomo about this, and the She-Hulk returns in anger to beat the innocent boy up. Meanwhile, Misuzu later meets Tanabe to clarify that Jun doesn't even see Tomo as a girl, surprising him. In the evening, as Jun prepares to go home, waiting for Tomo to bring an umbrella, Misuzu meets him and asks him why he hates her so much. He tells her that even though she always put them in trouble when they were younger, she always found a way to be absent when they were being rebuked. As they continue to talk, Misuzu suddenly asks him what he would do if he saw Tomo loving up on a guy other than him. But Jun suddenly pushes her before she continues the trash she is spewing. Just then, Tomo arrives, and they get on their way immediately. As they head home, Tomo tries to keep a distance from Jun because she is embarrassed to be too close to him. He tells her to come closer as he doesn't want her to get wet. She lies that she reeks of sweat right now, and Jun immediately starts to sniff her up like a depraved creep, embarrassing her. She zooms off in the rain, leaving him wondering what is wrong. He soon meets her, but as he tries to cover her with the umbrella, he sees her cleavage through her wet shirt, so he starts running too. The next day in the karate class, she trains with Misaki, who happens to be her close friend in the boys' karate class. As they later walk out of the gym, some ugly girls crushing on Misaki see Tomo and get jealous that she is going to take him from them. Following that, Misuzu goes to tell Jun that Tomo is seeing a guy in the karate class, but he pretends not to be concerned. However, in the next class, when Tomo brings her desk beside him, he suddenly mentions that he heard she has a new friend, and she confirms, but Jun dismisses his concerns when he mistakes the supposed friend named Misaki for a girl. Later, while Tomo grabs a drink, the two horrible-looking girls from earlier confront her to tell her they should meet after school behind the gym. Realizing that they came to fight and not to make friends, she tells them that she is not in for petty fights and is ready to whoop their behinds if need be. This scares them, and they head back to class to get advice to see if they need life insurance before embarking on what they are about to do. They become scared for their lives when they are told that Tomo tops the boys' karate class. Tomo tells Misuzu about the girls who have picked a fight with her and how she plans to screw them up. Misuzu replies that the girls are probably thinking of a verbal fight, not a fist fight, so she should act like a girl and refrain from going WWE mode. However, she still faces the girls with a fighting stance, ready to destroy them. The girls, already scared, become even more afraid and fearfully reveal that they want to meet her, because they have a crush on Misaki. Hearing this, Tomo's countenance changes immediately, and she becomes really excited, thinking they came to her for advice on how to get close to him. She reasons that her dream to coach single ugly girls on relationship issues has finally come true and tells them they have to become her friends so that she can help them. That evening on their way home, Jun tells Tomo to sit beside him in the bus, so she sits for a while, but when she can't take it anymore or her floodgates could burst out like a fountain, she returns to standing. A few moments later, one thirsty idiot who needs an emergency hair transplant in Turkey takes advantage of the crowd to rope Tomo's cape buns. Tomo becomes angry and thinks of beating him blue-black, but she decides to bear with it because she doesn't want Jun to find out what's happening. However, it becomes increasingly uncomfortable because this dude thinks he's testing his grip strength. Suddenly, Jun notices and immediately comes to her rescue. He reports the moron to the authorities, and as they later walk home, he tells her to try to talk to the police later. But Tomo doesn't hear any of that. All she can think about is that Jun is treating her like a girl right now, and it is switching her on. However, she becomes disappointed when the blockhead suddenly suggests that she should stop wearing skirts. The next day at school, Tomo reports the situation to Misuzu, saying when she thought the idiot was starting to treat her like a girl, he suddenly suggested she doesn't wear skirts because it doesn't make him feel good. Hearing this, Tomo got angry and punched him for the 14th time in this anime. Misuzu states that he might have said it because she didn't want her to be groped again, but when Tomo starts to make a deal out of what she just said, Misuzu then tells Tomo that her skirt is too short anyway, but also says she might want to consider removing the leggings she wears underneath her skirt. Tomo immediately thinks she is into girls and covers herself, but Misuzu tells her that the other way girls wear their skirts is by having nothing else but panties underneath. Later after school, Misuzu meets Jun, who is obviously feeling terrible because Tomo wants to walk home with him, and he gets excited that she is no longer mad at him. Meanwhile, Tomo has removed her leggings and is uncomfortable that her skirt might blow up to reveal her plot armor. Upon seeing her, Jun suffers a brain glitch immediately, and he starts walking off without looking at her. They soon get on the bus, and all Jun can see is all the boys looking at Tomo's legs, which makes him mad. He continues to avoid looking at her and walks ahead, leaving Tomo wondering why he is being weird about this. She quickly runs to grab him, but her skirt blows up at that moment, causing Jun another brain glitch. He later apologizes to her for dictating what she would wear the previous day, like her parents, but tells her that wearing something she is so embarrassed about is giving him a hard time. The next day, Misuzu asks Tomo what went down the previous day when Jun and she replies that the only thing that went down was her self-esteem because bro was busy acting weird all the period they were together, so she is never wearing such again. Later that afternoon, a Barbie doll named Carol arrives at school, and everyone starts drooling over her, which makes Tomo wonder why all the boys are over her. She asks Misuzu if this means that she is girliest, and Misuzu tells her that her soft and defenseless personality must be the reason guys are simping after her. But the dweeb, not knowing that Misuzu was referring to her chest's personality, reasons that being defenseless could make her vulnerable to attacks. However, she continues wondering what being defenseless means and considers being Carol's friend to find out. Just then, she suddenly meets Misaki with Carol, and Carol, although being only his childhood friend, tells Tomo that they are engaged, shocking her. Misaki asks Tomo if they are friends since they are in the same class, and Carol states that she is not into the boys in her class because they are all a bunch of Joe Schmoes. Tomo gets pissed and asks her if she is so blind she can't see she is wearing a skirt. While Misaki tries to de-escalate the issue, the Barbie doll starts poking Tomo's cheek to see if she is really not a boy. Since then, Carol starts calling her a dummy, which makes Tomo wonder why, even though they have spoken together only once. Misuzu also calls her a dummy for being so slow to realize Carol is hating on her, because she is close to Misaki. The next day, Carol meets Misuzu to ask how she can defeat Tomo, and Misuzu, thinking of how she can use her, tells her she knows someone who can help her more than her. Carol meets Jun later and tells him there is someone she wants to defeat, and she came to him based on a referral. Jun is surprised that there is someone else like Tomo who is willing to beat someone up, and he tells her they will begin training after school. Later after class, Jun calls Carol as he leaves for the gym, shocking Tomo, who thinks something is going on between them. Misuzu adds to the problem by saying they must be clapping already to be acting that close, making her even more jealous. But this is exactly what Misuzu wants because her dear friend has been acting so slow. While Jun trains Carol, he realizes she is weaker than your Magnum when loaded, but he continues to train her. He tries showing her how to fight while facing up against her enemy, and just then, Tomo appears looking angry. Carol reveals that Tomo is her enemy, shocking her. Tomo approaches Jun and locks his clothes, asking him what the heck he thinks he is doing alone with a girl. Seeing this, Carol remembers Misuzu telling her that she will figure out what to do herself if she stays close enough to Jun, and immediately tells Tomo and Jun that she is no longer interested in fighting. Following that, Carol takes Misuzu out to eat some cakes as compensation for helping her, and while at the cafe, Carol asks her if they are now friends since they are eating together, but Misuzu tells her to ask Tomo if she needs a friend since Tomo is a certified loner. Carol later meets Tomo to ask her to be her friend, and she gladly accepts. Afterward, Jun and Tomo get talking as they watch Carol perch all over Misuzu. Jun tells Tomo that the two girls are popular with boys and Tomo agrees. She feels betrayed that Misuzu never told her about this and immediately goes to confront her. However, Misuzu defends that Tomo never told her about her one-sided attraction until they graduated anyway. Tomo rebuffs that she should have still told her she had a boyfriend, since they are best friends, and Misuzu replies that they both didn't like PDA and that there was no time to talk about their relationship since it didn't last more than 3 business days. Tomo asks if she still has feelings for him though, and she replies that the only feeling he has toward him now is hatred. Tomo then further asks if they by any chance swapped spit during their 3 days relationship span, and she replies no, saying that they only held hands and called each other by their first names. Misuzu meets Jun afterward to tell him she never wanted Tomo to know about this, and he apologizes to her for spilling it. She then states that she realized that Jun had ignored Tomo during their first year in a previous school, but immediately became Tomo's friend after breaking up with her, and asks if this was a coincidence. Jun becomes embarrassed and refuses to answer, confirming there must have been something. Later in the afternoon, Tomo introduces Misaki to Jun, and upon seeing him, he realizes that he is actually a boy unlike he thought. As Misaki extends his hand to shake him, the jealous idiot reacts with it to his head. Tomo smacks his face for doing that, but Jun remains unfriendly toward Misaki, making him terrified. After school, Tomo tells Jun she won't be going home together this afternoon as she's got an outing with the girls. Meanwhile, on Jun's way home, he meets Misaki, who immediately regrets his life's choices when he sees him again waiting to board the same bus. They soon get on the bus, and Misaki asks Jun why he has refused to join the karate club, and he replies that he doesn't want to lose to Tomo in a duel. Hearing this, Misaki thinks he is only tripping and tells him that Tomo always says she can't beat him. Jun replies that he can only beat her in street fighting, but not when there are defined rules guiding them, and how he hopes to one day be like her. Misaki immediately thinks that they are both alike, since they both look up to her, but realizing that he lost his guard by stating something silly, he warns Misaki not to tell anyone or he would make sure he gets a surgery appointment. The next day at the karate class, Tomo asks Misaki if he got along with Jun the previous day since they were on the same bus, and Misaki forcefully says that Jun is the nicest dude he has ever met. This makes Tomo glad because Jun is finally getting a friend after trying to make friends with different guys in the past, but they always feared him instead. Later, Jun sees Tomo and Misaki together and comes to scare the innocent boy again. During the weekend, while Misaki and Tomo spend some time out, Misaki suddenly asks Tomo if she and Jun have hung out recently, and she replies that they have done it a couple of times, but she always acted weirdly. Hearing this, Misaki tells her she needs to step up her game or he will soon start clapping another chick. She tells Tomo to be the one to invite him out next, and instead of going to play the usual male games, they should go shopping or to the karaoke club. Following this, Tomo asks Jun on an outing, unsure of how he'd respond, but he jumps at it immediately like he had been waiting for the offer, surprising her. Several hours later, Tomo reports back to Misuzu, and she tells her she has to get some female clothes to wear since she is only used to dressing as a tomboy. Misuzu and Carol take her to the store after this and help her select to make her look hot on the date. However, just when you'd think she's gonna appear on the date looking like Rihanna, she appears like she is going to church. They set out for the date, and after some baseball and bowling, Tomo suddenly suggests they go for karaoke, to which she immediately agrees. In the karaoke room, she becomes really embarrassed as she never expected he would agree. Jun asks her if she is not singing, and she yells at him that there is no way she is doing such curly stuff. She then asks him why he accepted to come for the karaoke even though he never used to like it, and he replies it's because she wanted it. Surprised, she gets to the singing immediately, but this bozo only sounds like Ariana Grande on 0.5x speed. Jun starts laughing because the last time he heard a voice that bad was on American Idol. The next day, Tomo feels very ashamed telling her girls what happened, and at the fact that Jun even has a recording of her. The two girls immediately head over to ask Jun to show them the video, and realizing this, Tomo comes running at them. Meanwhile, Jun, watching the video, notices that there is something different about Tomo. Some days later, as Misuzu goes to school, this ugly-looking moron called Tanabe greets her, and when she responds, the simp becomes excited that she didn't ignore this time. However, his heart becomes shattered when she asks who the heck he is. Following that, he meets Jun and begins complaining about how he has never seen Misuzu smile. But Jun cannot relate, and he says Misuzu smiles most of the time she talks with him, surprising Tanabe and making him wish he was the one. Jun asks Tomo about it after this, and she also claims that Misuzu barely smiles, surprising him because it's quite the opposite with him. This makes Tomo wonder if this is because Misuzu still likes him. In the next scene, Tanabe tries all he can to make Misuzu smile, but this only makes her seal his mouth since the idiot won't stop telling dry jokes. As he later walks across the hallway, he meets Carol. Tomo visits Misuzu to ask her if she still likes Jun because he said she smiles around him all the time. Misuzu replies no, but adds that thinking from another perspective, one could say she likes him because he seems to be the god of never let them know your next move, surprising Tomo, who suddenly notices her smiling. Some hours later, Tomo sees two girls acting all mushy and wishes that she could also grope a girl like that. Insert a suitable meme. Misuzu wonders if she now supports the alphabet mafia, and she immediately defends that she just meant touching them in appropriate places. Tomo complains that she doesn't have any girlfriend to act like that, with as many she tried touching in the past began to distance themselves from her. She then tells Misuzu that they have been friends long enough to be on that level already, and politely asks that she can touch her, promising not to hurt. Misuzu instantly replies that she was initially interested, but not when she puts it that way. Later, when Tomo steps out to the school's rooftop, she suddenly finds Carol extending her hands toward her so she can touch her. Tomo takes the opportunity immediately and grabs her in the way your lonely, thirsty soul would never. Realizing how soft Carol is, Tomo returns to Misuzu feeling terrible, accepting that she is really not a girl after all because her own backside is tougher than a day-old Poppy's biscuit. However, Misuzu tells her to relax, saying that Carol is a rare exception. This makes Tomo wonder what other girls are like since Carol is special, so she starts touching girls like she got a degree from Diddy Academy. Meanwhile, Carol continues to give Tomo a feel of her mighty cannons and Misuzu gets angry with this, surprising Tomo. Later, Tomo meets her to apologize for making her angry, and she replies that it was something else that was getting to her. She embarrassingly asks if she can be touched a little too like Tomo had requested the previous. Surprising Tomo, she immediately grabs her and asks if she can strangle her now. However, Misuzu suddenly asks her why she doesn't ever try to hug Jun, shocking her. She quickly gets red and says she would have loved to touch him too if she could, but Misuzu replies that there should be no problem doing it since Jun already touches her too. Tomo thinks this is a $1 million idea, and after school that day, she sneaks up behind Jun to hug him. However, Jun pushes her off and says she shouldn't be doing that within the school environment, but Tomo defends that he does it too. Jun agrees but says it is okay if he does but not when she does, getting her so annoyed that she lands a punch on his useless face and beats him up. The following week, Carol suddenly shows up during the lunch break and says she wants to ask Misuzu for relationship advice, so Tomo should go eat with Jun instead. Carol gives her headband so she can look more feminine, but while Tomo later eats with Jun, she feels very embarrassed by how she looks. Meanwhile, on the rooftop, Misuzu asks Carol what she needs advice for, and she tells her that she will soon know. Misaki appears looking like he missed his way, and Carol introduces him to her. Upon knowing that Misuzu is Carol's friend, Misaki acts more cringe and holds her hands, asking her to protect Carol. He then does some big brother bullcrap before leaving, but as he leaves, the Misuzu comments that her case is not so different from Tomo's. Carol then asks for what to do about it, and she replies to stop taking life like she is playing gacha. Later, someone comes to report to Tomo that some dude is disturbing Ogawa to be his girlfriend. However, Ogawa doesn't want him, but the dude is known for screwing any girl who turns him down. Tomo promises to protect her, but she tells her she only wants her to stand behind her when she rejects him. They soon face the dude after school, and Tomo sternly warns him to stay away. But he doesn't budge and threatens to clap Ogawa. However, Tomo tells him to face her and then lands him a kick that sends him crashing to the wall. The remaining two girls become really scared because this was not in the script, but Tomo reassures them, saying she will protect them if he ever comes back. Following this, the weak moron returns to his group of losers to mobilize them to go beat Tomo up. However, while they plan this, Jun overhears them as he passes by and suddenly kicks him flying, annoying his underdogs, who immediately prepare to fight him. Later, when Tomo leaves for home, the idiot and his group come to apologize to her, all with wounded faces, shocking her. She reports this Jun as they head home. Meanwhile, she also notices the plaster on Jun's face and asks him what happened to him, and he lies that he fell. During the weekend, Misuzu and Tomo head to Carol's house using a cheesy map she gave them, and upon reaching a certain house, they wonder if they are at the right place or not. Just then, this pale-looking blondie with a creepy face appears and asks them what they are doing in front of her house. Realizing that she is related to Carol, since they both have custom-made Halloween faces, Tomo and Misuzu tell her that they are Carol's friends. However, she becomes wary of Tomo, because she looks like a depraved boy looking for the next foal to explore, but she is surprised when she sees Tomo's got a bump on her chest. She takes him inside, and upon getting to the mansion, Carol and her mother start acting cringe, making Tomo and Misuzu realize where Carol got her stupidity from. Carol greets Tomo and Misuzu after, and just she points out that she and Misuzu have matching braids. Misuzu immediately loses her braids as she realizes this, making her sad. Following this, Carol takes them to her majestic room, which reminds Tomo of how broke her parents are. After a while of checking Carol's albums, Misuzu leaves for the bathroom, and as she heads there, she notices Carol's mother following after her. She pauses to ask what the Sigma, and Carol's mom asks if she is a bad girl and she was mean to her daughter earlier. Misuzu becomes mischievous and boldly asks Carol's mom what she would do if she told her that she is Carol's friend for her money. Carol bursts into laughter, making Misuzu feel like she lost this battle. Meanwhile, Carol and Tomo decide to play Othello, and Misuzu returns to find out that Carol beat Tomo. She decides to play too, but Carol easily beats her too. 2 days later at school, Tomo discovers that the midterm exams are coming up the next day, and she begins to panic because there is no way she is not coming out at the bottom of the class. Misuzu suggests they have a study group at her house. Just then, Jun appears and offers to be Tomo's tutor, but Misuzu tells him to stop being full of himself as she demands to know his ranking in the last exam. Jun confidently replies that he ranked around 30, but Misuzu destroys his ego when she reveals that she was number 1. Later at Misuzu's home, the 3 girls get talking as they prepare to start studying, and just then, Misuzu's mom, coming from outside, notices a boy's shoes by the entrance. She wonders if Misuzu now has a boyfriend, but she enters to find that the supposed boyfriend is Tomo. The girls get to studying and stumble on a math problem that seems quite difficult to solve, but Carol solves it right off her head, shocking the other two. She explains how she solved it using some underhand tricks, and Tomo gets excited that she might as well be the next Albert Einstein if she uses this method, but Misuzu states that the processes involved in getting the answers are as equally important as the answers themselves. They spend some more time studying, and when the results finally get released after the test, Tomo ranks number 70, exciting her, because she at least ended in the top half of the class. Jun ranks 54, and when Misuzu discovers she ranks number, they wonder who the first is, only to realize that it is none other than Carol. The following week, during one of the breaks of school, Jun gladly tells Tomo that he has gotten a new video game, the one she likes, and tells her to come over to his place that evening as he is ready to show her how good his joystick technique has become. She immediately agrees without thinking, but instantly realizes that she has screwed up, so she returns to her girls to tell them about it. She is really embarrassed at spending the night over at his place, and when she intends to go tell him she won't be coming again, Misuzu and Carol force her back to her seat, saying she has to go because Jun really wants her to come. After school, she heads home to tell her parents she is going to Jun's place, and she is surprised how unconcerned they are even though she is going to a boy's place. Tomo heads to Jun's place, and when she gets there, She discovers that June is the only one at home for the night, shocking her, because this could only mean one thing. She goes to take her bath, and the thought of her without her clothes on switches him on, so that he slaps his own face to keep blood from flowing down to his rod. They soon get to the game, and after playing for some minutes, the two almost go horizontal, but June keeps his sausage in his pants like a real Sigma. Afterward, they decide to go to sleep, and while Tomo sleeps on the bed and June on the futon, Tomo feels it is just a waste that they are going to bed already. He tells her he had so much fun with her today, embarrassing her. He soon sleeps off, and she goes beside him to touch him while he is asleep. However, he suddenly grabs her in his sleepy state and refusing to let her go. The following morning, June wakes up first only to realize that they slept beside each other, causing him to get in an awkward position feeling embarrassed. She soon leaves for her home, and on her way, her slow brain suddenly realizes that she woke up beside him on the futon. The two act awkward at school for the next 1 week due to this, but it makes Carol and Misuzu happy. A few weeks later, it's Tomo's birthday, and June gives her a speck as a gift. She gets excited and puts it on, making her look like Frankie. She goes to flex her spec before Misuzu, and she gives Tomo a thoughtless gift that doesn't mean trash to her. Carol soon appears with a 24-karat gold as a gift, shocking them. Seeing that she seems to have enough money to throw away, Misuzu asks if she would like to put her wealth to some use, before telling Tomo to come over to her house during the weekend. On Saturday, the two girls bring out a nice dress and a wig, which leaves Tomo wondering what they are planning to do. They tell her that they are using the opportunity to make her as feminine as possible. They soon begin to fix her up until she starts looking like a hottie way above your broke face's league, and Misuzu tells her this is the part where she has to talk like a girl, but she replies that she doesn't know how to. Misuzu tells her to try talking more politely, and Tomo manages to pull it off. Some minutes later, Misuzu and Carol state that they are craving ice cream and want her to get some for them. Tomo says that she has to change her clothes, but they throw her out of the house, saying it wouldn't make sense if nobody else sees her in the beautiful dress. She heads to the store fuming, and as he enters, she notices everyone staring at her, shocking her. She thinks she must look horrible right now, and just then, she suddenly sees June in the same store. She sneaks in to get the ice cream, hoping he doesn't recognize her, and at the same time, June wonders if the pretty girl he just saw is Tomo. However, as she leaves, she misses her steps and falls. He helps her up, surprising her that he can be this gentlemanly. Meanwhile, he turns to leave, but she quickly stops him to ask him if she can walk with him. She soon regrets her actions, wondering why she asked to walk with him, and June remains skeptical, convincing himself that Tomo is shorter and doesn't wear makeup. They soon see a group of children playing football, and Tomo almost breaks character to return to her Raz personality, but she cautions herself immediately. She apologizes for acting like a tyrant, but June replies that he likes it rough. June then points to two kids, a boy and a girl, who seem to be very close, and he asks her what she thinks will happen to them in the future. She replies that it'd be nice for them to become boyfriend and girlfriend, and June tells her that he also has a girl who is his best friend, but he doesn't know how things would turn out. Tomo is surprised to hear this, and asks him what he wants from the relationship with this supposed bestie, and he replies he doesn't know. However, his only goal now is to beat her. Tomo wonders if she should reveal her identity, but he suddenly asks her about the ice cream she bought. She immediately realizes she is in a mess already and gets up to leave. Upon getting back home, she finds Misuzu and Carol decorating the house to surprise her, and while she later sits to eat cake with them, she tells them how she saw June at the store, and he called her pretty, which made her feel on top of the world. The next day, when June sees her, he draws her cheeks playfully as if to be investigating if she was the one he met yesterday. However, this only makes the easily agitated moron respond with a punch to its face, confirming that this is the Tomo he knows. Later at school, during the volleyball training for an upcoming interclass tournament, Tomo gets aggressive as usual, which scares all her mates away. And when a teacher realizes that her testosterone level is off the charts, she takes her to the boys' section before she injures the girls. All the boys are excited to have her on the team, but she feels terrible that this is happening again. The tournament begins the next day, and Tomo and June's team thrash the other teams very easily with Tomo's brute force. However, during the break, when they rest before the final match, Tanabe suddenly appears, looking worried, to inform them about one of the guys on the other team who is built like Kong. The dude is said to be the strongest kid in the school, and there is no way Tomo and June can beat him except they are on meth. Tanabe tells them they don't have to fight him, but the two reply that they have to since he is the strongest in the school. A few moments later, as the final match is about to begin, Goma, the huge guy, comments that he doesn't care about Tomo, who doesn't seem to be as strong as it was rumored, but he only cares about Jun because he is pretty athletic yet isn't in any club. He then challenges that if his team wins, Jun has to join the judo club, and he agrees. Meanwhile, Tanabe notices his crush watching the match also, and as the loser shows his determination to prove to her that he's got what it takes to bend her over, a stray shot from Goma hits him, rendering him more useless than he already is. Goma continues knocking the weaklings out one after the other, annoying Tomo. She throws the ball with her brute strength at him, but Goma catches it easily. He then tells her she is going down next and throws the ball at her with all his strength. As the ball approaches her, Jun realizes that this could give her an instant glorious exit, and he quickly steps in as her knight in shining armor to take the shot. Tomo becomes very angry and activates Rasi Ingen with the ball, which Goma fails to catch, making her the winner. After the competition, Goma meets Jun separately to challenge him to a fight, since he isn't satisfied with how the match played out. Jun knocks him down the first time, shocking Goma. However, he refuses to submit and charges at Jun again, so Jun. As Jun later stands up to leave after Goma has accepted his loss, Goma asks him why he is so strong yet is wasting his talent away, and he replies in parables that he just wanted to catch up to the big back he saw before him, referring to when he and Tomo were younger. As he later walks home with Tomo, he marvels at her strength back there and wishes he could be like her. Some days after, while Jun runs around when no one's chasing, he goes down memory lane to 10 years ago, when he first met Tomo. Tomo suddenly became hyperactive around him and took his game from him so she could play too. However, she soon broke the game in two, which annoyed the poor boy, so he landed a blow on her face. Later he met her monstrous father, who apologized together with Tomo for breaking his game. Afterward, they became friends and Tomo started taking him on crazy adventures that left him wondering which sheep crack she was high on. He even got injured while trying to keep up with her, but after spending a while being her friend, he soon began to catch up. This made him think he was already as strong as she was, but something happened that made him realize he was just still a wet noodle. While he played with himself one day, some buffaloes came to bully him and took his game from him. He later met Tomo and Misuzu, who asked him why he had a plaster on his already disgusting face, and he awkwardly replied that he fell. Later that evening, Tomo returned with his game and gave it to him, surprising him. Realizing that she had gone to fight those bullies alone, Jun got pissed and queried her, but she knocked him to the ground, still pretending she didn't know what he was talking about. She then told him that as his friend, she would always show up for him, but Jun felt terrible knowing that he couldn't do the same for her since he was a weakling. So he handed the game back to her and said he wouldn't take it back from her till he became stronger than her. Following that, he began a karate class with her father. However, to this day, he has yet to take the game back, which makes Tomo wonder when he is coming to get it since he has become stronger than her anyway. Some days later, they all prepare to go to the beach for some wet moments, and Jun is surprised to see Misuzu also coming along since she never seemed to be really interested in beaches. Misuzu replies that she is ready for the experience even though her real reason for coming is so she can witness Jun's expressions when he sees Tomo's chesticles. At the beach, the two girls change into their swimsuits, but he wonders where Tomo is. He immediately goes to look for her and finds her feeling shy to come out, so he forcefully opens her hoodie only to be welcomed by her massive plot, embarrassing him. In the next scene, Jun chooses to sit with plotless Misuzu because his magnum has been rising and falling like Bitcoin since he saw Carol and Tomo's big balloons. Meanwhile, Tomo, not knowing the struggles of this gentleman, comes to get him to play with her and Carol in the seat, and he barely enjoys himself because his brain remains frozen most of the time. Meanwhile, these two random classmates see Tomo and Carol playing afar and become intimidated by their bazungas. Carol excitedly goes to give Jun a feel of her milk bags, making Tomo jealous. Afterward, Carol sits with flat and Misuzu, curious about why Jun seems to be running away from her and Tomo, whereas he is fine around Misuzu. Misuzu reveals that it is because Jun likes them big, but Carol doesn't understand because why the heck is he running then? A few moments later, while Tomo is alone, a random loser with no face card comes to riz her, asking her to follow him to a corner for a quick plot development session. However, Jun suddenly appears from the water with an intimidating look, scaring the dude. Jun then tells Tomo he doesn't want people going about thinking he is her boyfriend, shocking her. Just then, Carol calls him from the midst of some guys and he goes to take her immediately. One of the guys asks him if he is her boyfriend, and he replies that he isn't bothered about whatever the heck they call him, stunning Tomo because dude never responded like this when it was her. She complains about this and Misuzu tells her today is her chance to change that. And when Tomo asks what she should do then, she replies that she should stay close to Jun as much as possible and never leave his side. Tomo gets some ice cream and goes to Jun to put Misuzu's advice to use. She then takes Jun's hands and draws him toward the ocean to play with him again. However, Jun is surprised at what is happening to him, because even though he had planned to play with her in different ways, he just keeps zoning out whenever she touches him and smiles at him. On her way back home, Misuzu notices his silence and asks him what's wrong, knowing that this dude who never saw Tomo as a girl before now has difficulty keeping to that. Near the end of summer break, while Carol and Misuzu spend the night at Tomo's house, they play the king's game, and as Misuzu becomes the king, she tells Tomo she has to go to the fireworks show with Jun alone, shocking her. They visit Jun immediately, and Tomo asks him out to see the fireworks together, but he casually agrees, surprising Tomo as she reasons that this is unusual of him. He would have jumped on her in excitement normally. As they head back, Tomo is worried as she can't seem to understand the dog's actions recently. Later, as Jun lies on his bed, he wonders why he is happier than usual to be seeing fireworks alone with Tomo. He remembers when she confessed to him in episode 1 and reasons that she could not have meant that. Meanwhile, Tomo, also on her bed, remembers all that happened at the beach and wonders why Jun doesn't seem to be matching her vibe lately. At the same time, Misuzu is concerned about what is happening between the two lately. She had initially encouraged Tomo to act more feminine when she told her she liked Jun so Tomo could play with her more as a girl. She only used Jun to get what she had always wanted, and now she doesn't want to stop. On the day of the fireworks show, as Jun prepares to leave home, he wonders why he has mixed feelings about this, but he is determined to find out why he is feeling this way toward Tomo. He soon meets her, and upon seeing her, he is almost blinded by her beauty, and she tells him that her mom encouraged her to wear a kimono. Getting to the festival, they both head to a seller's shop they have always known. Meanwhile, Misaki and Carol are also in the summer festival, along with Misuzu, who is just the third wheel since she is too ugly and has no man. Jun steps away for a while and some guys corner Tomo to ask her to clap those cakes, but Jun returns to take her away like a perfect Sigma. As they walk away, she thanks him for helping her, but the dweeb suddenly apologizes for intruding since she is strong enough to have handled the situation herself. This pisses Tomo off, and she lands a punch on his stupid face, telling him he should let her thank him. She then thanks him properly, surprising Jun as he thoughtlessly comes to hold her in a sus way, leaving Tomo wondering what was that. As they head to the fireworks viewing area, Tomo wonders if he now has feelings for her too, and she reasons that this might be her chance to communicate her feelings to him properly. However, as they get to the viewing area, she hesitates and decides to do it at the perfect time. After the fireworks show, they head back home, but Jun is yet to find out what the feeling is. However, one thing he realizes is that he can't have a real punching match with Tomo ever again. They resume back to school, and Tomo is worried that things have changed between her and Jun, as he seems to have been acting cautious around her. Later during the day, the stupid gang leader and his gang feel terrible as Tomo has made their activities really difficult. While he thinks of how to get back at her, he notices Misuzu from afar and immediately takes his gang along to assault her. Just then, Carol appears and seeing her, the gang leader decides to lay hands on her too, but Misuzu tells him to leave her, saying Carol is just a classmate and nothing more. However, as they leave with Misuzu, Carol suddenly tases the idiot. Misuzu takes Carol's hand immediately so they can escape, but the dimwit falls face flat. However, they manage to escape to an abandoned factory, but Carol didn't get there without leaving a trace. At the factory, Misuzu calls Jun immediately to tell him to come to save them, but says he shouldn't let Tomo know. Ro finds a way to excuse Tomo, but she suspects that he is up to something, seeing his bloodthirsty look. So he has to tell her, and she insists on going to help her friends. Meanwhile, Misaki happens to be nearby and becomes interested when he hears that Carol is affected too. The gang leader soon finds Misuzu and Carol, but before he can do anything, Tomo suddenly grabs him and knocks his head toward the ground. She takes him out to where his other gang members are, ready to give him the beating of a lifetime. Seeing that Tomo and Jun are handling the situation already, Misaki decides to go look for Carol and Misuzu instead, but he is shocked when he finds Carol without her clothes. Bro goes berserk, thinking the gang has already explored her vertical lips and attempts to go isekai the leader, but Tomo and Jun hold him until he realizes that Carol was only changing clothes. He becomes embarrassed after this as he leaves with her. Meanwhile, Misuzu tells Tomo and Jun to go on ahead while she handles the idiots on their knees. She threatens them by revealing that Tomo is the only daughter of the famous nightmare Mizawa, scaring them. She then tells them they have to protect Tomo and her friends from now on with their lives. The next day, as Tomo leaves for school, she feels terrible that she acted rogue the previous day when Jun was just starting to see her as a girl. Just then, Jun greets her and taps her lightly on her shoulder, exciting her because this is what she has been expecting. Misaki goes to meet Tomo's dad to tell him he wants to be like Toji, and seeing him, Tomo's dad affirms that he is currently like Zenitsu in a less popular anime. He adds that there is something else beneath his weakness. It's a demon trying to haunt his soul, and advises him to be careful so he doesn't end up like Muzan instead. Meanwhile, Tomo knows her dad yaps a lot and cuts in, telling Misaki he will start with running first. The next set of training almost sends Bro to Nirvana, and following this, Tomo says he has to face Jun even though the dude is barely hanging on to life. He asks Jun if Tomo will acknowledge him if he can beat him, but Jun is not about to let that happen. He shows Misaki what his real strength is, which makes Misaki realize that there is no way Jun's usual claim that Tomo is stronger than him is true. After realizing that he can't beat him, Misaki thinks he should at least land a hit, but in an attempt to do that, Jun knocks him out cold. He wakes up later to see Tomo beside him, who suddenly asks him if he wants to get stronger because of Carol. He gets embarrassed and reveals that it's true because Carol is notorious for always getting in trouble since they were young, during which he has been very useless in helping her. He calls himself a loser, but Tomo immediately switches into some anime motivational crap. Meanwhile, Jun stands outside overhearing their conversation. Some weeks later, Carol tells Misaki that he has been more of an alpha male recently, and he replies that he has been training with Tomo's dad. He adds that he anticipates the day Tomo will acknowledge his strength, and hearing this, Carol becomes jealous. She asks him how he sees Tomo, and the insensitive Morin glazes her a bit, saying Tomo is a role model to him, making Carol even more jealous. At school, Carol meets Jun to ask him to spend some time with her, and when Misuzu asks what she thinks she is doing, Carol tells her to mind her business, surprising her. Later during the break, Jun asks her why she wanted to see him, and she replies she just wants to chill with him while watching others playing. Jun asks her why watch when she can join them in playing alongside Tomo and Misaki. But Carol replies that she was mean to Misaki, and right now, she is doing something to offend Tomo. However, Jun tells her that Tomo is not the kind of girl who gives up on friendships that easily, unlike you. Somehow Carol finds her way to Jun's room, and he wonders what in the world just happened. He begs her to leave before his plot hormones enter the chat, but she tells him she came to ride him to the moon and pounces on him. Brooke gets scared and she chuckles, asking him why he is scared of girls, since he does the same whenever he is with Tomo. She then warns that if he keeps acting like an innocent virgin nice boy, he might lose Tomo because girls love him scumbags. He pushes her off immediately and heads over to Tomo's house to squeeze her like his life depends on it. He tells her he was hit with an attack he wasn't expecting, and while still talking, Carol appears behind him, scaring him. The next day, Carol apologizes to Misuzu, and she asks her how Misaki reacted to the news when she told him she hung out with Jun in his room. Carol replies that he made a weird face, which makes Misuzu consider getting the two of them together. She meets with Misaki afterward and suddenly asks him if he likes Carol. He tells her she is like a sister to him, but Misuzu tells him to cut the crap. So he reveals that he loves Carol so much that he wants to smash her buns crimson red. He then does some mindless yappings about his feelings for her, and Misuzu tells him she will create the perfect scenario to bring them together. She returns to class, and when Carol asks her what the outcome is, Misuzu tells her she doesn't have the slightest chance with him, because she looks like a caricature, and he only sees her as a daughter. This immediately changes her mood, and she leaves right away. Misuzu is shocked that this has affected her this much. She meets Misaki and tells him to go after Carol immediately. He goes to her house immediately, and upon entering her room, he sees her crying for the first time ever, shocking him. He feels terrible and apologizes, but she begins to hit his creepy face with her pillow, not the softer ones. He quickly reveals that Misuzu lied to her to get her into a vulnerable state, shocking her. She becomes pissed with Misuzu for playing her like that, and then asks Misaki how Misuzu getting her pissed relates to him. He summons the courage and reveals that Misuzu was trying to give him a push, so he could tell her how he feels, shocking her. She gets excited and wants to get down to business immediately, but her mom interrupts. The next day, Carol appears in a bogey-looking costume, which scares Misuzu. However, she suddenly kisses her and tells her thank you, surprising them. Following this, the school decides to spice things up by organizing a marathon, and naturally, Tomo and Jun are hyped like shonen protagonists. The race kicks off and these two take the lead instantly, moving like they just unlocked Ultra Instinct. But then, out of nowhere, Tomo, desperate to win, goes full dramatic anime collapse and faints mid-race. However, Jun scoots her up and carries her to safety like some rom-com protagonist. When she finally wakes up, she's in a hospital bed with Misuzu and Carol, watching over her like concerned NPCs. Confused, Tomo asks what happened, and Misuzu drops the tea. She passed out mid-run, and Jun, being the MVP, finished the race with her on his back before hauling her to the hospital. Jun walks in to check on her, and because Misuzu is all about the chaos, she whispers to Tomo, suggesting she milk the situation so she can get what she wants from him. Jun tells her that her mom, Makimi, is on the way to pick her up, but Tomo, not one to waste an opportunity, demands that Jun carry her on his back again. With no escape, Pro sighs and complies, delivering her straight to her mom's car like a loyal delivery service. The next day, Jun swings by Tomo's house to check on her, and she hands him his Nintendo, admitting that he's officially stronger than her since he carried her and finished the marathon. That moment triggers a flashback from their dojo days, back when Jun finally landed his first hit on Tomo and felt like he just won the Nobel Prize for anime side characters. Fast forward to when they enrolled in the same school, Jun saw Tomo in a skirt for the first time and suffered an existential crisis because, up until that moment, he was convinced she was one of the boys. Tomo, feeling some type of way about this, vents to Misuzu, who just shrugs and reminds her that Jun has always been an idiot. Meanwhile, in class, Jun gets hit with the most unexpected question. Some dude asks if he and Tomo are dating, shocking him. Moments later, he overhears some girls asking Tomo the same thing, but she shuts them down, saying the blind fool doesn't even see her as a girl. At lunch break, she tries talking to Jun, but he straight up ignores her like a tragic backstory character, and just like that, they go a whole year without speaking. Misuzu, who was already low on patience, found herself losing interest in activities with Tomo. Meanwhile, Jun, now in his lonely boy era, figures the best way to cope with his feelings is to get himself a girlfriend. Misuzu, passing by, notices him eating alone and asks why he's acting like a shoujo protagonist in his heartbreak arc. Jun admits he's lonely and sucks at making friends, but Misuzu calls him out, saying he's only like this because he refuses to replace Tomo. Bro fumbles hard and asks her to be his girlfriend instead. And because Misuzu lives for drama, she says yes. Fast forward to their relationship, and back at school, Misuzu is exhausted, looking like she just finished lifting an entire battleship. Exhausted beyond reason, tells her she can't keep up with her energy anymore. Tomo drags her outside for a chat, and Misuzu admits she has the physical strength of a wet napkin. But Tomo refuses to let that ruin their friendship, and they end up laughing it off. Later on, Misuzu, finally ready to dump Jun and regain her peace, gets hit with the reverse when Jun breaks up with her first. She's low-key bummed, but honestly, she dodged a bullet. Hours later, Jun finally grows a brain cell and decides it's time to fix his weird vibes with Tomo. He approaches her for a heart-to-heart, but before he even gets a word in, Tomo straight up decks him for taking an entire year to apologize. Almost in tears, she demands to know why he ghosted her for so long. Jun, finally accepting his L, apologizes for being an insensitive moron, but before he can even finish, Tomo lands another punch straight to his gut because clearly her love language is hands. After all the physical abuse, they finally make up and promise to be better friends, putting an end to their fight. The next day in class, Tomo decides she wants to get Jun a special gift for his birthday, but her wallet is emptier than an NPC's dialogue options. To make this happen, she figures getting a part-time job is the way to go, but she needs some backup. So she ropes in Misuzu and Carol for the ultimate job hunt. Right on cue, Tanabe overhears and offers them a gate at his family's ramen shop. Later, he introduces them to his father, who looks like a land whale and runs the place in his mom's absence. Dressed in their uniforms, Tomo and her crew jump into action. Chaos ensues almost immediately as Tomo and Carol fail spectacularly at serving customers, while Misuzu takes over like she was built for this. Just when things start to settle, Jun casually strolls in, throwing Tomo off her game. After their long shift, they collect their paychecks, say goodbye to Tanaba and his dad, and bounce. But right outside, Tomo bumps into Jun, and Misuzu and Carol, being the ultimate wing women, tactically retreat to let them have some alone time. On their way home, Jun randomly drops that the ramen tasted better when Tomo served it, making her brain short-circuit for a moment. The next day, Tomo surprises Jun with his birthday gift, matching smartwatches for both of them. Fast forward to class, and Tomo starts wondering how she can appear more feminine to Jun. Misuzu then crafts the perfect plan, telling her they have to get Jun to accidentally touch her. With everything in place, they station themselves at the stairs, ready to execute the operation. Jun soon arrives, and as he attempts to walk down the stairs wondering why Tomo is looking like a pissed idiot, Misuzu gives him a little push, and down he goes. However, instead of Tomo, Jun dodges her and ends up with a full grip of Carol's gigantic assets, shocking him. Knowing that he is now in a mess, he turns to Tomo and begs for her love language, so she beats the living daylight out of him. Afterward, Misuzu feels terrible, wondering if she went too far with the plan earlier. She gets distracted and ends up tripping down the stairs. Luckily, Tanaba is there. She gets embarrassed and tells him she will do whatever he requests to thank him for saving her. The idiot thinks for a moment and finally asks her for her contact instead of fan service. The next day, Tomo notices Misuzu is missing from school, and Carol reveals that she's at home recovering from fall damage. Meanwhile, talks about the upcoming cultural festival plays start going around, and the class debates who should play Cinderella. Later, Tomo visits bedridden Misuzu to check on her and casually drops that she's been spending more time with Carol lately, making Tomo feel a little neglected. Before leaving, Tomo leaves behind a pamphlet for the Cinderella play, telling Misuzu not to overthink things. Later, Misuzu is straight up baffled to learn that Carol actually voted for her to be Cinderella, while Tomo would play the prince. Cut to rehearsals, and while everyone is vibing in their costumes, Misuzu starts spiraling, realizing that while everyone else is moving forward, she's stuck overthinking. Jun suggests she just talk things out with Tomo. The day of the school play arrives, and the OG moms, Tomo's, Carol's, and Misuzu's, pull up to the culture festival, hyped to see their daughters slay the Cinderella performance. As the play kicks off, everyone gets into character, with Tomo as the prince and Misuzu as Cinderella. The audience, especially Carol's squad, goes feral when Tomo drops to one knee and proposes. After the curtains close, Jun wastes no time and asks Tomo to stroll around the festival with him. Later, the squad, Tomo, Jun, Carol, and Misaki, jumps into a wild festival dance-off, leaving Misuzu chilling alone like an abandoned baby. But Carol isn't about to let her sit out, so she drags her into the fun. Misuzu thanks Carol for letting her be Cinderella, low-key realizing it helps smooth things over between her and Tomo. Meanwhile, as Tomo and Jun dance together, Jun gets a sudden burst of courage and almost spills his feelings. But Tomo, overwhelmed by the vibes, dips out of there like she just saw a ghost. Fast forward a few days, Jun and Misaki run into each other and start chatting. In a rare moment of honesty, Jun confesses that he actually likes Tomo, but Misaki doesn't think much of it. Still, he gives Jun some pro-tier advice, telling him to be straight up with your feelings. The next day at school, Tomo finds a mysterious challenge letter on her desk, summoning her to the rooftop. He brings up her old confession, wondering if she was just joking back then. Tomo, beyond frustrated, yells that she's been trying to be more girly this whole time for his oblivious self, and this man really didn't notice. The rage builds up, and before she knows it, she clocks Jun in the face. As Jun lies on the ground, wondering where he went wrong in life, Tomo instantly regrets the punch. But then, still bruised and battered, Jun finally spits it out that he loves her. Instead of processing this properly, Tomo panics and yeets herself out of there, heading straight to Misuzu and Carol for an emergency meeting. Carol, being Carol, just suggests that she and Jun should start dating already, but Tomo is scared. Misuzu, feeling a little guilty over her past meddling, reassures Tomo that she doesn't need to change herself for Jun to love her. Encouraged, Tomo dashes off to fix things. She finds Jun and asks for a redo, and together, they return to the same spot where she first confessed. This time, Jun makes it crystal clear that he is not even capping about his love for her. Tomo, feeling all the feels, is beyond happy, but she suddenly states that their relationship would stop them from continuing to be buddies. But Jun isn't having any of that nonsense. He argues that they can still be rivals and besties, while also being a couple. To prove his point, he challenges her to a race up the stairs. Tomo, obviously wipes the floor with him, but Jun just laughs, saying that even as lovers, their rivalry is eternal. Feeling bold, Tomo finally says she loves him too, and the dweeb instantly trips and falls down the stairs. Weeks later, Tomo is chilling with Carol and Misuzu over lunch when she starts ranting about how Jun is way too relaxed about their new relationship. He isn't even making an effort to get things brisk. Just then, Carol suggests she just go for the bullseye and kiss him already. Tomo instantly malfunctions, her face turning redder than a stop sign, muttering that she isn't ready for that level yet. Misuzu casually throws in the idea of watching Rito of Healer together, hoping it'll nudge Jun in the right direction. Fast forward to movie night, and Tomo arrives at the theater, all jittery and hyped up like she's about to enter the final boss battle. Meanwhile, Jun, who has been mentally struggling with the idea of sitting through a romance movie, tries to play it cool. The movie starts and Tomo inches closer, but the ridiculously filled plot scenes are making her more anxious than romantic. Afterward, Jun admits, to his own surprise, that romance movies might be his thing now because he can now relate to them. They exchange Christmas gifts, which is cute and all. But Tomo is still stuck on her main mission, which is making Jun fall even harder for her or get harder, as the case may be. Later that night, Tomo ends up staying over at Jun's place. But instead of anything remotely romantic happening, the air is so awkward, because the two of them are newbies who have never loved and never been loved. Realizing that this idiot she calls boyfriend is not going to make any move, Tomo straight up blurts out that she came there to kiss him. Jun is shocked but tells her even though he wants to bite her lips so hard, he wants it to be special, whereas they're not even officially dating yet. Tomo.ext crashes immediately, but before she can reboot, Jun drops another bomb, saying he already talked to her parents. Her dad, Goro, decided to go full anime dad mode. Jun has to defeat him in a fight before he can date Tomo. However, Tomo gets angry and storms off to confront her dad for bringing up such a silly condition. She finally yells that she hates him and walks away, leaving her dad in a heartbreak. The next day, Jun shows up at her house, but Akemi, Tomo's mom, informs him that she isn't seeing anyone. At school, Tomo is still fuming, realizing Jun kept the whole fight my dad for my hand thing a secret. Jun, now determined to prove himself, decides to challenge Goro anyway. When the fight finally goes down, things quickly turn into a one-sided beatdown, with Jun barely holding on to life support. Meanwhile, Tomo, after a motivational speech from Misaki, realizes she can't just sit back and let this happen. She dashes home just in time to see Jun, looking like he just went 3 rounds with Satama. Just as Jun is about to pass out, Tomo jumps in, challenging her dad herself. She tells Jun that while she won't interfere, she's more than ready to step in if things go south. But Jun, now fueled by main character energy, refuses to let her fight this battle for him. He approaches Goro again, requesting one more round, and while they prepare to fight, Jun observes that something is weird about him today. Goro seems to be deliberately leaving openings for him to attack, and he wonders why. Jun thinks of how best to land a hit, and after figuring out a perfect plan in his head, he realizes that Goro is only trying to test his courage and will to protect his daughter whenever she is in danger. He becomes more determined to protect the one he loves and launches at him before landing a decisive blow that makes him the winner. Afterward, Tomo is excited as he takes his leaves and asks if this means they can now be. But before she says anything, Jun quickly asks her to be his girlfriend, startling her. She wonders why he interrupted her, and he tells her it's his role to ask her out as the guy. She then suddenly grabs him and kisses the hell out of his lips. The end. If you enjoyed this recap, clap the like button and insult the main character anyhow you want in the comments section below. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're yet to for more plot-filled adventures. If you like anime recaps like this, watch this video right here.